Thank you for joining our presentation this afternoon. My name is Larry Schruder. I'm the President Board Chair of the Upper Ottawa Valley Genealogical Group based in Pembroke, Ontario. This is a story about the rebirth of the Upper Ottawa Valley Group and is a retaping of a recent presentation to the Lanark County Genealogical Society. You can see from this map that our group has the catchment area both in Ontario and Quebec, Renfrew County, running from Arnprior to basically east of Mattawa along the Ottawa River. We also service, from a genealogical perspective, Pontiac County in Quebec on the other side of the Ottawa River. This is fairly unique for a genealogical group to span two provinces, but it is the reality when you live all along the Ottawa River that people cross back and forth on a regular basis. Our early history as an organization is shown here on this slide. We celebrated our 35th anniversary recently. We had our charitable status about 10 years after we incorporated the organization. At one point in time, our membership reached a peak of about 300 members. We're quite active in census and cemetery recordings in the area, had established a library of resource material for our members to use. We started a collection of donated family histories for our library. Generally, it was onwards and upwards. But as with any pump handle, the pump handle goes up and the pump handle goes down. And down was COVID. We basically, after 35 years, found out that the world was different after COVID. The impact was extreme. Our membership over the next few years dropped to about 50 members, plus or minus. And many of those were both longstanding and actually quite elderly. Our library holdings were no longer current. Most of our records were in paper. Our technology was limited and out of date. The website was stale. We were still trying to run an organization as if we had 300 members, but in reality, our financials were in bad shape. Money going out was always greater than the money coming in. Board was tired and need of refresh and transfusion. Something that's not easy to move out of. Leonard Cohen has a song called The Anthem. In that story, there's a couple of lines. One is that there's a crack in everything. And we clearly had lots of cracks in our organization at that point in time. Second part of the sentence in that song is, but the cracks are how the light gets in. So we started looking at what we had to do to address the situation that we were in. The truth of the matter was that change was happening outside our organization far faster than the rate of change inside, and we were becoming less relevant. And that's a challenge that many genealogical organizations face, and we were facing it in spades. So our chosen path was to fight rather than give up. We felt a sense of obligation to those who got us this far. We championed the concept of stewardship, which is making something better out of what we had. And so we had to become a better version of what we chose to inherit. And that meant that at some point, board members left. Other board members are recruited to join. Never easy. But we recognized that hope is not a plan, and we needed a documented plan for the future rather than simply trying to fix the past. So we asked ourselves lots of questions, but two that stand out in my mind looking back. What would this group do if it wasn't afraid? And the second question was someone for all genealogical groups. Why should I join your genealogical group when I can do everything online today? Hard to argue, but you have to think about an answer for that. Our strategic plan was that we were going to plan for the future and recognize that the world had changed around us, and we weren't just going to try to maintain the present or try to recreate the past. So we had to update and refresh our image, our library, and our technology. Our library, we had to address library access issues. We had to get our financial house in order, how to move to digital storage of key research areas for ease of remote access, because people don't always live outside our door. Significantly increase our membership base because 50 was non-sustainable. How to evolve our website into a recruitment and a member service tool. How can people do research online rather than find out what we had and then have to come to our facility to look things up? How do we maximize our use of technology for enabling remote attendance at presentations and in our library? And common problem, how do we get the volunteers to try to make this happen? We set up a couple of three key jobs. We had to get our house in order financially because if you're bankrupt, you can't do much. We applied and received a one-time Kickstart grant from Trillium, the Ontario Trillium Grant Program. And that happened in 2024 and 2025, over 1 year. This grant allowed us to acquire some new equipment, invest in a new website, and acquire a much-needed library management program. We also then looked at, once the Trillium grant had run its course, it's for a very definitive period of time and for specific programs and requests, we had to figure out how we're going to deal with operational support on an ongoing basis because it takes money to run. You have to pay rent, you have maintain your equipment, you have to buy new materials or whatever. Delta Bingo and Gaming is a provincial run organization that looks after gambling and bingos in smaller communities. And we happen to have one in the city of Pembroke for the surrounding area for Renfrew County. And we applied and became one of their partner organizations, which basically means that we spend about 4 person hours a month donating our services during their activities. And for that, we get a share of the profits that are made at that particular event. By law, the Delta Bingo Group has to turn over about 22% of their net profits to a local charitable organizations or local organizations, not for profit. And our measly 4 hours a month generates about $1,000 a month for us, in a plus or minus a little bit, in terms of ongoing revenue, as long as we use it to support our organizational goals, etc. So we use that money to help with our facility rental costs because libraries don't come cheap. How there's other internal costs of operations and postage, and how to maintain some of our technology and our software licenses. We also have a small amount of money that comes in through membership fees, and we have charitable donations and product sales. So we had to get that health in shape, and we are now financially viable, and we have at least enough money in our bank accounts to look forward to the coming year. Second thing we had to do is get our mindset out of the past and into the future. You know, a lot of house cleaning. We had old stuff hanging around that we weren't using anymore, hadn't been dusted off the shelves for a long time. Clean that up, refresh our newsletter, increase our distribution frequency, get a new editor on that, and expand our focus. Our website was there, but it was stale and hadn't been touched for quite a long time. So we had to recreate it and just generally put it through a round of renaissance. And I'll show you what that looks like at the end of this presentation. We also had to revisit an existing Facebook page that, again, we were posting to very, very rarely. And of course, membership there had fallen off or had become inactive. We enabled a speaker series and to start getting an educational program available for people to begin to learn a bit more about genealogy. We had to clean up the physical appearance of our buildings. I'm always of the opinion that people don't want to go into an old dilapidated building. They would like something fresh and look like it's got a pulse. And we had to change our image, which was a bit more challenging for those who've been with the organization a while, but less rigid and more flexible and responsive. You know, the fact is that people come to us who know much less about genealogy than we typically do, and we have to have a lot more patience and be willing to help them come along the way that somebody helped us come along a long time ago. We also made a rather startling decision. We dropped our membership fees. We didn't have very many members anyway, so we weren't putting much at risk. We dropped it from $25 to $10. At that point in time, we probably had about 70 members. Now we are just bumping up against 200, and that's given that this decision was taken about 8 months ago. So it seems that people are prepared to dish out a $10 bill quicker than $25 to join a membership, and our membership has grown, and we're actually ahead of the game on membership fees from a revenue source, given that change. The third thing we had to do was change our image. From being old and deteriorating to alive and ready for a new world order. In other words, we were a thing of the present, not the past. Even though we spend much of our time researching the past, we can also look at it through a present lens. Internally, we cleaned up our facilities, new lighting, new tables and chairs. So it looks like it's a force to be reckoned with. We also updated our technology. So we bought a library program. I said we had some funds from Trillion Grant. We bought the photo enhancement tools. People can work on their photographs. And we had to update our computers and our visual presentation tools so that we came up to standard and could function in today's world. And we had a new external image, our state-of-the-art website, a refresh of our newsletter, embracing new communications vehicles like Facebook, etc. We're now running over 4,000 members, and we'd start with at the end of the Facebook era. At the end of the COVID space, we were probably had about 2,000 rather dormant members. So now we're much more active. We've moved into Zoom meetings and presentations, meaning that people don't have to physically sit in our library to hear a presentation. And as of this week or next, we'll be launching a new YouTube channel and basically allowing presentation to be stored and viewed in the future. So some of the work we've been doing is the updating of our genealogical site. So this was start from scratch, borrow some material that we had, and then refresh it completely. There's a members. Anybody can take a look at the site, but if you're a member, you actually get increased access to documents in the site. So there's a join feature there. They can join online. They can e-transfer us at $10, and we can activate the membership button for them, so they can do some rather interesting things inside the website. And one of those things, well, this is what our library tends to hold on our. So these are the major functions in information sources in our library, everything from census and cemetery data to family histories to immigration stuff. The list is here. And, we have a lot of information on the townships and the municipalities. We have printed material. We have electronic recordings of materials as well in terms of that we view on our machines. But when you go a little bit further and take a look, this is inside now. We just happen to be in the cemeteries area, and these are the cemetery transcripts are listed on the right-hand side of this slide. I just opened up one of Pembroke City and Township. You notice there's a lot of, well, you can't see the whole page here. There are many cemeteries here, but besides the cemeteries that we have copyright for, then we are able to share these on our website. So if you are a member, you can click on that PDF signal sign on to the left of the name, and that cemetery file will open for you as a member. You can view it and you can download it and print it. So it becomes a major asset for people who don't have physical access to our library, but are interested in what's in that cemetery because of ancestors, and they may be far away at this point in time. If we do not have the copyright access to that material, and some of our cemeteries the copyrights are held by other groups, then we simply list them and say they are in our holdings, but you'll have to come to the library to take a look at those. If we go into and that's the same in census data as well. So our PDF files are primarily in census data, in cemetery data, but also in family histories. Family histories are interesting because these are donated documents by either members of the public or past members of our group, present or past members of the group, and it's their research on their family. And people are usually willing to share that and let other people see it if it may help them with their program of research. So you see here there are PDF files beside indicators beside many of these files. We have about 200 ones, I think, on PDF, and another couple hundred that were too large perhaps to put on PDF at this point in time. If you are a member, you can click on that PDF icon, and this family history will open for you. But you will not be able to copy it or print it. You can review it online. I'm not foolish enough to believe that some people won't take out a telephone, take a screenshot, but they're looking at individual pages, which we accept anyway. We do not let people take them off the shelf and photocopy them. We let them take a look at a page or something like that, but they can read and make notes. So we are respecting the authorship of these, but we haven't made it available to them online. Outside of our library program like this, or in our library, we have a bi-monthly now. It's 6 times a year, Timberline that puts out, and it's usually about 10 to 12 pages of stories and articles related to genealogy. We've totally revised our Facebook page, and we now have a Facebook coordinator who's literally adding an article every day. We are welcoming new members to our site, and in the last 6 months, we've gone from 2,000 to over 4,000 members on our Facebook page. And at the point now that people are also contributing articles to that page, it's not just a one-way street. And they're also asking questions of us, and so it gives us an interaction tool. And although all of these people do not become members, but they are at least made aware of who we are, and some of them do join because of the Facebook page. And this is another example of the kind of stories that would be in the Facebook page. But they literally change every day. Our library facilities, you can see, we are in the basement of the Masonic Lodge. It's a lower level, so we have an access issue. There's about 8 stairs that come down into the basement. Not greatest for mobility challenged. That's on our to-do list in terms of apply for grants and try to get a lift put in, a stair lift put in, to make it easier for some of our elderly people to access our library. Our library is otherwise being bright and cheery. You can see we have certainly workstations around. We got computers in the background. We have equipment in terms of microfilm readers, research computers, and on our library shelves, this is more detail in these slides. We've got data on our township data. We've got cemetery and census data. We've got municipal information. We've got local newspapers. Some of our local newspapers are on microfiche as well, or microfilm. And we've got information on ethnic origins by nationality and by source. And then there are historical topic headings. Then we get into some of the similar material that we have for the Pontiac County. It's not as thorough as we have for Renfrew County, but we're looking at building this up and increasing it. And then we've got our family history sections, and you see we haven't done quite as much work on the presentation of these yet, but they're in folders alphabetically by family name, and this is a popular section of our library at this point in time. Going forward, we know we're not at the end of the road. We're only on the journey, and there's more work to be done. We certainly do want to can continue our growth in membership base. At $10, I anticipate that we will have some attrition, but then we'll also have some renewals, and we'll also have a lot of renewals, hopefully, and some recruitment of new members. We want to grow in our capacity to provide online services to members near and far, because the reality is they can get more information off the internet. And so we might as well be one of those sources and make it easy for them to do that and be able to provide support to them when they come looking for help. And so many of our inquiries are asking for assistance and where do they go next, and whether we have any information that will help them. We want to update our cemetery holdings because we were strong at the turn of the century around 2000. Then a lot of our cemetery data was generated then, and it's a few years passed since then, so we need some work to update our cemetery holdings. And we're growing our relationships with other genealogical interest groups, usually smaller ones in some of the individual communities of Renfrew County and the Pontiac. And always, in an organization such as ours and yours, how do you grow your volunteer base? Because it takes time and effort, and nobody is on salary in any of our businesses. Got some community outreach initiatives underway as well. As I mentioned, we're connecting with other genealogical groups. It's my dog giving you a comment or two. Strengthening relationships with other smaller genealogical groups in the area. And outside of our area, as I mentioned, this is a presentation we presented to the Lanark and area genealogical group. We have establishing a scholarship program for local students. It's a first for us. We're trying it out, graduating students into somewhat genealogically related studies, whatever they might be, history, genealogy, genetics, etc. And we're offering a scholarship of $1,000 for those, and there's a competition for that, and we have three to award this year, and that'll be across the high schools in both Renfrew County and the Pontiac. And we're establishing a speakers bureau. I'm surprised how many people are not aware that we exist, even in our own community. So it's more letting people know who we are and what we do. So those are things that keep us busy going forward. Our education programs that we're trying to liven up a little bit. So you can see here that we've just finished one on last weekend, and we've got one scheduled once a month for the next 5 or 6 months, and we will continue to grow this list. And as much as possible, we'll be working through them through Zoom as well as in live presentation, and we'll be recording the Zoom sessions so that they can be referenced later by others. So that's our story. This is our contact information. In terms of how to reach us, our email address, our website, our Facebook page. We're physically in Pembroke in a nice facility. Our library hours are shown here every Thursday and every second and fourth Saturday in the afternoon. And our monthly presentations are on our Facebook page, on our website as well. And we try to push the information out to our members as much as possible. So that's really our story. And we know our story is not over yet. And we hope we continue on the same path we are. I welcome any comments or suggestions on other things we can be doing, or if there's specific questions that you may have. You can email them directly at that email address and send it to my attention if you wish. And we will try to respond as quickly as possible. So thank you for your time invested in viewing this video. And I hope at some point in time that your organization can find its path going forward as well, because we all need to renew what we're doing in order to stay relevant in this changing world. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Stop.